I'm here today at the offices of Boehringer Ingelheim, who have just launched a new BVD live vaccine for cattle. And I'm here to talk to Allan Henderson about the impact of this launch on the UK cattle population. So let's kick off, Allan. I believe this is the first live BVD vaccine in the country. So what are the advantages of this?
Well, Bevella brings what we believe is a paradigm shift in the control of BVD. As you say, it's the first live, it's a live double-deleted vaccine. I think the things it brings most immediately to the farmer's benefit is, of course, a much more convenient treatment protocol and application protocol. We'll come to that later on, probably. It's been produced with the latest technology, the latest methods of vaccine technology, and protects against both the type 1 and type 2 virus, which exists now in Europe. I think that farmers will recognise that the latest requirements in terms of getting vaccines approved are significantly higher than they were when the most recent BVD vaccines were produced and licensed. So we're really bringing the front end of vaccine technology to the control and protection of cattle to BVD.
The crucial thing, Allan, seems to be your vaccination regime, which is, as I understand it, one vaccination at 3 months and then annually thereafter. And the reason is that this is important is because other earlier vaccines had perhaps more complicated regimes.
I think that one of the biggest challenges for farmers and for vets in applying the current vaccines adequately is that the vaccination protocol is difficult. It's a double dose to start with, and with one of the vaccinations it's boosters every 6 months. Bevella is a single shot from the beginning, so no need for a double dose to begin with, and it protects for 12 months, gives absolute protection against the production of PIs.
The goal is the prevention of these persistently infected PI calves, which are infected when they're actually in the womb. And they're currently the source of the perpetuation of the disease. Without that, presumably the disease would die out, would it?
Well, the virus would act like many other viruses in that it could circulate in the herd, will stimulate an immune response. Animals will develop a level of immunity, but then if they're not exposed again for a period of time, then they may become susceptible again and be susceptible to infection. But you're absolutely right. These PIs are little virus factories, and all the time there's a PI on the farm, we're challenging these animals, and we're creating the risk of course, producing more PIs, because if cows are exposed to this infection at that critical stage in pregnancy, they will then produce another PI.
So why do you think we've not got to grips with BVD yet?
Well, I think that there are a number of things that one has to do, and one has to do all of it really if you're going to be successful. I think things like poor biosecurity is one of the things which often causes control programs to break down. It's all very well doing things on the farm, but then if you shut your eyes for a moment and introduce animals from elsewhere, or semen, or even ova from other areas where maybe there hasn't been the testing or the control programs, then of course things are going to break down. I think that there's been a lot of work recently looking at the kind of compliance with existing vaccines, not just BVD but other vaccines as well. And actually, if you look into things closely, you find that actually only a small number of farms are actually applying vaccinations exactly as they're meant to.
And I know it's a prescription-only medicine, and vets have different markups, but what is Bovella going to cost us?
Well, I think one of the challenges we always have with this is that farmers often, they just focus in on the cost, and actually what we really need to be talking about is the cost benefit. And we know from the extensive work that we've done that we would get a significant cost benefit for the use of this vaccine. But you're absolutely right, the vets themselves will determine the cost.
Okay, Allan, whatever the cost is, and it seems a little difficult to get that figure out of you, just what are the cost benefits of it?
But remember, in the immunosuppressive bit, when we've got this concurrent disease, we know how much time that takes in terms of work, in labour, There's a welfare issue, of course, but of course we need less treatment, and obviously in a time where antibiotics are in focus, if we can reduce the level of general disease on the farm, which means we need to use less antibiotics, we need to use less labour, we need to waste less time, and we, as I say, the welfare is important, and we see healthier calves that are happy to be about, then that's going to be a good thing.
What we have talked about principally so far is the dairy herd, but equally important is the beef herd, and if they want to reap the benefits of being BVD free and also not act as a reservoir for the disease, they will have to look to what they can do themselves, won't they?
Indeed. I mean, really, when you think about it, in some ways it's more critical for the beef farmer, because he has to produce one calf every year if he's going to remain profitable at maximum profitability, and so it's important that BVD is controlled in these herds. Of course, again, they're running in the more extensive systems, and so again, one PI can cause absolute devastation in a beef herd as well. And it's an area that we would hope to support quite aggressively in our marketing activity, because we believe that there's a lot to be gained by the beef industry by better control of BVD.
Just refresh us about what the symptoms of BVD are.
Okay, well, primarily the first thing that many farmers will notice will be the infertility. So we have poor conception rates, early embryonic death, deformed calves, abortions, that sort of thing, and that's sometimes quite dramatic and quite concerning. But of course, immunosuppression is another significant effect of this disease, and that means that animals are more susceptible to other concurrent diseases. And so herds with BVD will often have a kind of low-level rumbling of respiratory disease, pneumonia, scours, all of that sort of stuff. And when you talk to farmers in Scotland, for example, where they've actually eradicated the disease from the herd, they talk about how the general health of the herd is improved. They don't have lots of animal in the sick pens. They don't have to keep injecting animals with antibiotics or whatever it might be. And really rearing calves is fun all over again.
So finally, Alan, just to put you on the spot, we have vaccination and we have now tissue testing of live calves to identify their status. How long, in your opinion, do you think it will be before the UK is BVD free?
Well, again, I think going back to we've actually got to start the journey first. But hopefully, something like a 10-year period is something that one could at least aspire to. But as I say, we've got to start the journey first with a consistency of approach and a clear direction of travel. Then we can start to put specific timelines on it.